Chapter 29. Unexpected Visitors. On another nippy morning in the woods, Harry Spider awoke from a restless sleep. Restless because now it was too cold to sleep. The chilling fingers of autumn were reaching in, and there was no defence against their cold iron grip. This was definitely it. They had to go back. They had no choice, as they would never survive a winter in their ramshackle camp, and Harry and Dippy both knew it. Harry lay there, yet again practicing his leaving speech that he would have to make to Dippy. He just hoped that he would understand. And as he stared at the condensation trickling down the wall of the tent, a wave of tiredness washed over him, and he started to sink into another unsettling sleep. But then an out-of-place clanging sound cut through the cold air. It wasn't loud, but loud enough to make Harry's pulse quicken and wake him from his slumber. Then a crunch, closer this time, followed by muffled voices. This was what he had dreaded the most. The police were here, or even worse, Butcher's gang. The bean can string alarm had done its job, but still they were caught, like rabbits in a trap. How ironic. The end had come. Strangely though, Harry wasn't scared. All he felt was relief. Relief that it was now definitely over. Johnny Depp snored on, even as a finger poked inside the tent and gripped the zip, then pulled it slowly down. An age seemed to pass before a head appeared. Harry recognised it immediately. "You bastard!" he shouted. Dippy awoke and sat bolt upright and blurted out, "I am the dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17. Oh. He then realised where he was and looked at the face poking into the tent and was suitably embarrassed. It was Mark Jensen, Harry's best friend, and he smiled. "Got you there, Harry, and you too, dancing queen," he sniggered. "You did that, Jen. My God, you did that," sighed Harry with massive relief. Boy, was he pleased to see a familiar face. Then Simon Snade appeared, and they both wriggled their way into the tent. "My God, you two look and smell like Keighley tramps." "Phew!" exclaimed Jensen, waving his hand in front of his nose. Harry smiled, though, as he couldn't believe that they were actually here, and he had to pinch himself just to make sure that he wasn't dreaming. There was so much that he wanted to ask, so much that he needed to know. He had waited seemingly an age for this moment, and now, at last, it had arrived. His brain went into overdrive, and his mouth just wouldn't work. He sat there with an inane grin on his face, but soon he would speak. Not yet, though. He would have to give it a couple of minutes. It was all too much. He had to try and calm himself down. "You set your string alarm too close to the tent, lads. Tut, tut, tut. Big mistake. Lucky for you two, it was just us." Harry was still too shocked to respond. "Here you are, lads. I've brought you a little pick-me-up," said Jensen, as he shoved his hand into his pocket and pulled out 12 Mars bars. He passed them to Dippy and Harry, and they unwrapped them like they were starving, which they actually were. To bite into the cool, mouth-watering bar of nougat and caramel covered in thick milk chocolate was the most incredible feeling ever. There are no fitting words or cliches that would even come close to describing it, so there would be no point. Just a great big thank you to Forrest Mars, who created them way back in 1932. And that was the best advert for Mars bars ever. I should get some money for that, for sure. 6 Mars bars later, and a chocolate high to end all chocolate highs, Harry eventually found his voice. And then some.
So, what's been happening then? What's been going down? What's the word on the street? What do you know? Who do you know? What's been...
All right, Harry, interrupted Jensen. Calm down, lad, and let me speak and I'll tell you. But Harry found this very difficult to do. He'd only spoken to Dippy for the past 2 weeks, and there was so much he needed to know, and he had to know everything right now. He tried to be calm, but with the chocolate pumping through his veins, this was going to be an uphill battle.
So, are you going to tell me? Am I going to know? When will you tell me? Who will tell me? When will I know? All right. That's enough, Harry. If you can be quiet for just 1 minute, I will tell you. Oh, sorry. Entirely my fault. Sorry. I'll be quiet now. Sorry. Harry! Sorry.
And Harry physically held his own mouth shut, but this didn't stop his face from twitching. Right then, that's better. Peace at last. And realising Harry's impatience, Jensen kept it brief, but as detailed as he could. He took a deep breath, and off he went. Firstly, the coppers. They hauled us in and questioned us all about those stolen bikes. But we denied it, even though they reckon they've got a witness who's going to testify against us. But I think they were just bluffing. And then there's Butcher. We all stuck to the same story on that. We told them that you were hitchhiking to Scotland, but we didn't know exactly which part of Scotland you were going to, and they seemed to actually believe us.
They believed you? Well, why didn't you come and visit us then? Asked Harry.
Well, we couldn't, because we were being watched for most of the time, and there was a lynch mob out for Dippy. Butcher and his gang were not going to let that lie, I can tell you that. Harry stared at Jensen.
What do you mean, Butcher and his gang? How did Butcher do that with him being dead and all?
Jensen looked surprised. Dead? No, Butcher's not dead. He was only knocked out. They kept him in hospital overnight, and he was fine by morning.
What? Butcher's not dead? They only kept him in overnight? You mean we've been stuck out here for all these weeks for absolutely nothing?
But I thought you were here as part of some big adventure.
Adventure? Adventure? You call this an adventure, Jensen? Living out here with practically nothing to eat, freezing to death, and completely isolated, with just Dippy to talk to? That's no bloody adventure. Let me tell you that. No offence, Dippy lad. None taken, smiled Dippy, as it had been more than worth it for him, as he now had his first real-life friend. Jensen just didn't know what to say next. Simon saw this, so he took over and put a different perspective on the situation. Look, Harry man, it's all over now, and you evaded the cops for weeks. You return the conquering hero, dude. What more could you want?
Harry had to admit that this had crossed his mind a time or two, and he knew that the day he returned to civilization would truly be a great day. The people would line the streets and cheer. Victoria would run to greet him and hug him passionately. It would all be worth it then, because by now she would have undoubtedly realized how much she needed him. Oh yes, he'd be a hero all right. He would be the envy of the whole of Yorkshire. He would be in the Keighley News and be interviewed on the local TV show, probably even the 9 o'clock national news. He sat back and self-indulgently prepared himself for the question that he'd been waiting to ask the most. So he took a deep breath and asked it.
So then, how's Victoria been coping without me? I hope it hasn't been too traumatic for her.
And instantly, a deathly silence enveloped the tent. Simon and Jensen looked to the floor. Obviously, something wasn't quite right. Harry's heart dropped like a stone. He was now extremely worried. So he asked the question that he'd been dreading.
She's not killed herself, has she?
Jensen couldn't help smirking, but he knew he shouldn't have. No, don't worry, Harry. She hasn't done that. Harry was now even more confused.
Well, what's happened to her then? Is she all right?
Oh, yeah, she's fine. Yep, just fine.
Oh, so you have seen her then?
Not exactly seen her, no. Harry was now getting fed up with this cloak and dagger stuff.
Look, are you going to tell me or what?
Jensen couldn't find the words, so Simon took over again, and he didn't sugarcoat it.
Look, Harry, she's been seen out with some of the men.
Men?
What? Seen out? Seen out with who? No, I don't believe it. This must be a mistake. She would have been too upset to see anybody else. This can't be right. Well, we don't know if there's anything in it. I mean, there's probably not. So I wouldn't let it worry you. It's probably not what it seems. Yeah, probably, dude, lied Simon. Not what it seems? What do you mean? It's not what it seems. What does it seem like?
Jensen and Simon hesitated again.
Look, for God's sake, will you just tell me who she was seen out with? Snapped Harry.
Well, it was Howard, said Jensen, intervening this time.
Howard? Who the hell is Howard?
He's a neighbour of hers, and apparently they also go to the same school. Harry's heart sank.
A neighbour? And he goes to her school? I bet he's posh, isn't he? Oh, yeah. He certainly is, dude. His father owns a factory, and he's got a spectator box at Leeds United Stadium. And he might be able to get us some tickets one day, if we get in with him and we all get along, and... What do you mean he might be able to get you some Leeds United tickets? I thought you didn't know him. Well, I kinda do, and I kinda don't. What do you mean? You kinda do, and you kinda don't. Well, I kinda know him through my dad, really. We supply Howard's father's business with safety equipment. And, well, I kinda met Howard through that, and I kinda got talking to him, and he's really kind of a nice guy. A really nice guy? You kinda forgot to tell me all this, didn't you, Simon? Kinda, mumbled Simon.
Harry regained his composure and made the long-awaited announcement.
Right, that does it. I've got to see her,
and I'm going out tonight."
Thank God for that. I thought it was never going to bloody happen,"
piped the boy with the bright red bushy hair.
"No offence, Harry,"
he added. "None taken, Dippy lad, none taken." And that was that. Harry Spider was returning to his adoring public, and he was about to find out how adoring they actually were.